Hello, my name is Tasha. If you are new here, if you have been following all of my other videos that I've been posting in regards to my divorce, I have been sharing the trauma, the hurt, just showing y'all real raw footage of the hurt and pain that I've been through. And what God put in my spirit to do is to share my story in hopes to help somebody else. Maybe you've been in a long-term relationship. Maybe, something has happened traumatic that you have to choose yourself. And I just want to show my process to encourage you that you're going to get through this. If you look at some of my old videos, you'll see I was a mess. And I'm currently getting through it. So the purpose of this is not to, make my ex-husband seem like a terrible person, although the shoe may fit. Is not to put him down, but I also feel like in order for me to be authentic, in order for me to be real, I have to tell it to you. Okay, I have to give it to you, all the real, all raw, everything. So I didn't take notes. I mean, a lot has happened. I don't think there's enough time in a day for me to tell you every single thing that I've been through or every little thing that occurred that made me leave my marriage, that made me have to be like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't have enough time in a day. But I'm just going to allow God to use me. I'm going to allow him to speak through me so that I can be a vessel to be a blessing to somebody else. Because again, I want you to know that you're going to get through this. I honestly don't even know where to start with this, okay? Because we have a long history, okay? We've been together we were together, I would say for about 20 years. About 20 years, and we were married for 9. And I mean, yeah, that's just what it is. And let me just give you a little history, okay? Let's start with history, how we got together. So we were working at Publix grocery store together. Both of us were in college. He went to Alabama A&M. I went to Jacksonville State University. Both schools are in the state of Alabama. And for the summer, I came to my hometown in Huntsville to work at Publix, for the summer. So I would just say he was not necessarily my type, but I just love being around him. I felt like I could be myself. Even at my wedding, my maid of honor kind of made a joke like, oh my gosh, she always said that you was just a friend, but she talked about you so much, like saying this to my ex-husband, she talked about you so much like you gotta be more than a friend. Like there was something she told in the wedding, but I genuinely liked him. I did. And I think some of the qualities that kind of made me fall for him is the fact that I saw the way that he loved and cared for his mother. I grew up in the church, and my pastor would always say, you can tell a lot about a man by the way that he treated his mama. So that stuck out to me. I was like, oh, and another thing that my pastor used to say, and let me just give y'all a little disclaimer. Just because I'm telling you my pastor said these things, it does not mean that it's 100% right or 100% wrong. I'm just explaining to you guys so you can get a background and have an understanding of why I was kind of like, oh, okay, I can give this a try, Something else that my pastor used to say, he would be like, if the parents are still together, like if the husband and wife were still together, that's a good sign. That shows you that maybe he was able to see both parents in the household. So yeah, a lot of church principles that I learned in the church was one of the reasons why I fell head over heels for him, because he was checking off those boxes, right? And yeah, so that's the background. If you've seen any of my previous videos before on my channel, I want to say it was a video titled, I Had to Own It, something like that. You will see in that video where I took accountability and I said you know, during the time of us being boyfriend and girlfriend, you know, I would say that there was some things that happened on my part. There was also some questionable things that happened on his part. I'm not going to say that those things don't matter, or that, let me just say this. I'm not going to say that those things don't matter, but we were young. That was before we got married. And once he decided to marry me and make me his wife and put a ring on my finger, it was just like, I'm all in. I'm all in because now I see that you're serious. And there's something else that I got to point out, because this is important too. Although I liked him and he was checking off all the boxes, the only issue that I used to have about him is this man loved the club. Loves the club. And I think at first, in the beginning of our relationship, it wasn't a big deal to me. But as time went on, like, I think when I started falling for him, like when I really started to fall in love with him, that's when I started to feel some type of way about the club. Because again, you know, my pastor would say things like, you know, be very cautious of the friends you keep. If the friends act like this, I'm gonna just give you an example. Not to say that this is law, but just giving you an example. If you hang with a bunch of people that smoke, you probably gonna smoke. If you hang with people that do drugs, you probably gonna do drugs. So you get my drift? Like, you are the company you keep, okay? So we all know what comes along with the club. And I was definitely watching the things that his friends did. And we're not going to get all into that because I don't want to make the history part of this, you know, too long, okay? I don't want to make it too long. But I did not like all the things that I saw his friends doing, okay? I just have to be honest. But then as time went on and I got older, I was like, you know what? Why was I even tripping about what his friends was doing? They're single men. They can do what they want to do. But let me just tell y'all. Even if you're single, yes, I guess you can do what you want to, but character still matters, okay? Character still matters, and I just feel like a lot of his friends had a huge character flaw, okay? So, I'm just going to give y'all that background to say, you know, we met when we were in college. We met at Publix grocery store. We worked together. There were some principles from the church that was instilled in me that made me be like, okay, you know, maybe this can work. And I would probably say, I don't know how long we were dating up until I got pregnant with my daughter. But once I got pregnant with my daughter, at that point, I'm kind of like, when we getting married? You know, when we getting married? And my ex-husband says all the time that he was like, you didn't pressure me to marry you. I married you on my own time. Okay? That's what he said. That he married me. I didn't make him do it. He did it when he got ready. And maybe that is true, because at the time when I wanted him to propose to me, he did not. And he definitely did it when I least expected it. Okay? So, moving on along. And I wanted to say this too. There are 3 sides to every story, right? There's my side, there's his side, and there's the truth. And one thing about me, y'all, I don't have no reason to lie about anything, okay? This is my truth. I just want to put that out there. This is my truth. I feel like every reason in God's word that gives a woman to leave, I had that reason to leave the marriage. And you know what? I'm going to insert somewhere. I don't know if it's going to be over here, over there, but I'm going to insert some text messages from him. This is actually from this year, before we sold our marital home. Because you will see he took accountability for the loss of our marriage, okay? So I just want to put that out there because, you know, behind closed doors, he made it seem like everything was my fault and she not perfect either, which nobody is perfect. Nobody on this God's green earth is perfect, okay? But he's definitely the reason why we're not together anymore, okay? I just want to say that. Okay, so moving on along, y'all. Let me just get into it. It was December 2022. Let's start there. His grandma passed. I want to say it was either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Something like that. His grandmother passed. We had went to his hometown, you know, for the funeral. And I want to say when the funeral happened, we're getting into like the first of the year, maybe. I feel like it was something like that. Like maybe a week after her passing, it seemed like it was the funeral. And y'all, when we got back home from that funeral, that man left. He didn't come back till the next day. And we had a whole argument because that was unlike him, right? I was like, why he didn't come home? And I just feel like that's where it started. Like, we had a huge argument because of that. And that's when he started saying, I don't want to be married anymore. I can't do this. I can't make you happy. But I think that was stemming from the heated argument, right? From him being out all night and not coming back. He like, I can't do this. I can't make you happy. I'm not going to lie. Oh, he did say he wanted a divorce. And that was the first time I ever, in the whole history of him and I being in a relationship with each other, being married, that I've ever heard that man say, he don't want me anymore. He's never said he done. I'm done with you. I don't want, never. Even when things went wrong, whether it was on my end, on his end, before we got married, we always seemed to come back together. Okay, we always seemed to come back together. But anyway, that was the first time he said he didn't want me. I ain't gonna lie, I cried my eyes out because he seemed pretty serious that he didn't want to be married anymore. And then I feel like we went maybe about four days. I'm gonna say up to about 4 days not talking. Maybe 3 to 4 days. We didn't say a word to each other. He came home early from work. I work from home. If you don't know, I work from home. So he called my name. And when I walked out and I walked towards him, he was like, give me a hug, please. I hugged him. And this man just started crying. It's kind of making me get emotional. It's kind of making me emotional, but I'm gonna keep it together. He started crying and he was just like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Now, one thing about him, he doesn't cry too often. I mean, I really can't even remember if he cried for, the passing of his grandma. But he cried to me that day. And in my mind, I was like, maybe this man is just grieving his grandma. Now, I'm not making this a race thing, but I do see this a lot in the Black community where when men are cheating or they do something wrong, it's like something about grandma. I miss my grandma. It's always somebody who died. They miss her. Okay? They miss her. So I don't know if that happens, in the white community or any other, races, but I definitely see it with Black men. They typically, when grandma die or something with grandma, they can't get it together. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, maybe he's acting out because his grandma passed. Maybe that's why he was out. Maybe he's just grieving his grandma. That's what I thought, right? So he apologized. We moved on. And keep in mind, we're into January now, right? January went by. So let's get into March 1st, 2023. Now, this is going to be my last time talking about March 1st. After I give y'all this story, I'm no longer talking about it anymore. And I will tell you why once I tell you the story. But I just told it so many times. It's like that day is a day I'll never forget. It's almost like The Temptations. Y'all know the song, Papa Was a Rolling Stone. And he says it was the 3rd of September. That's how it is for me. It was the 1st of March. Okay, a day I'll never forget. Okay, it was a rainy day. The weather was actually so bad that me and my daughter, we were getting like notifications on our phone. So I don't even know what you call it. It's not an Amber Alert, but the same noise you get for Amber Alerts. That's what my phone was doing because it's like, take shelter. That's how bad the weather was. So I'm going to just say my husband. Although he's not my husband anymore, I'm just going to refer to him as my husband because he was my husband on March 1st, 2023, right? So on March 1st, my husband was like, I'm finna go out. I'm finna go watch the game. Do you want any wings? Because most club or bars, they typically have wings. So I was like, no, I'm fine. I was starting a little diet. I'm always on a diet. As a matter of fact, y'all, there is a video on my channel. I want to say it was called the Consistency Challenge. It's old. It's probably from 2023. That was the day I recorded because I was starting a diet. Okay, I'm always on the damn diet. So, let me get it together and gather my thoughts. Okay, so March 1st. The weather is bad. I'm starting a diet. I'm like, no, I don't want any chicken. You know, just bring our daughter something. Bring something back for our daughter. He said, okay, cool. So that night, you know, it's getting late. And let me just say this, because I gotta give you some of the details. He supposedly gets off work at 6 p.m. However, a lot of times he would leave work early. I guess like his job was pretty lenient. So I would say he probably never really stayed at work the entire time. So I don't know if he truly got off at 6, but just know around the time he notified me, I would say it's going on 6 p.m. He's going to watch the game, and it's a bad rainy day. So yes, as it gets later and later, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., yes, I'm blowing his phone up because where are you? Like, it's late and the weather is bad. Like, why aren't you at home? So he did answer like the first time, but I guess the more and more I called, y'all know how this go. When they cheating, they just stop answering the phone. So that's when, and I'm going to say God, the Holy Spirit, the Lord was definitely talking to me. Y'all know our intuition. Their voice said to me, go, almost like go trust and verify. Go see if he's at where he say he at. That's exactly what it said. Go see if he's at where he says he's at. So I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of comfortable around the house. Maybe I had on like a little t-shirt. So I put on some tights, and in my head I'm like, no. I started pulling my tights off. I'm like, I'm not about to go run up behind this man. I was like, no. I get in the bed, start scrolling my phone, and again, there's that voice. Go see if he's at where he says he's at. So y'all, I get in my car. I drive. In my mind, I'm thinking, I'm just going to trust and verify. I'm just going to see if his car is in the parking lot of the club that he said he was going to. If his truck is there, then I'm just going to leave. You know, I'm just going to go back home. That was honestly my plan. It was not to go inside because I wasn't dressed cute enough to go inside. If anybody know me, you know I'm not stepping out looking any kind of way. So, yeah, like going in there the way I was dressed, lounging around the house, that wasn't an option. It was just going to be a trust and verify, just a quick little pull up. By the time I get in the driveway, the parking lot, I see his truck. I see the headlights on. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, cool. He about to come home. I pull up behind him. Because I don't know. Something in my mind was like, yeah, park behind him so he can't back out. When I get out of my car, y'all, and look inside his window, he is with another woman. I lost it. I beat on the window. I was like, open up the door. Of course, I was like, open up this damn door. I was going off, okay? Because I just could not believe this. Now, let me say this. Like I told y'all, before him and I got married, there has been things that had me side-eyeing him, if you know what I mean. But it was never black and white like it was that day. You know, like previously, it'd be like, oh, something wasn't right about that. But I don't know, like maybe I did a lot of giving him the benefit of the doubt because I wanted to hold on to that man that I first met. And a lot of times we do that as women. We keep holding on to the man that he was in the first month or two of you knowing him, you know? So that's what I did. I was holding on to that person and, oh, he aligns with my life and he treats his mama good. I was holding on to all of that. So anyway, back to March 1st, y'all. So I end up opening up the back door of his truck and I got inside and I'm like, oh, you know, just going off. And this man laughed. He chuckled. And that took me by surprise because I was in my mind. I didn't really react to that, but it was noted in my head. I'm like, damn, he laughed. And you know, most people when they get caught cheating, you're remorseful, you apologize, you're like, I'm sorry, baby, don't leave me. But it wasn't that. It was just like, like, really? So yeah, moving on along from there. Let me just tell y'all. I go home. I end up getting home. And By the time he pulled back up in the driveway, he was just sitting in his truck, almost like he afraid to come in the house. So I walk outside almost like somebody's mama, right? Because I don't know. I feel like my mama, when she was ready to whoop me and my brother's butt, she like, yeah, come on in here. Come on in. That's kind of how I was with him. Like, yeah, like you can come on inside. You good. You know, come on inside. And oh my God, I have to say this too, y'all. I couldn't even grasp in the moment. I couldn't even be sad. I was more so in shock. Yeah, I was extremely shocked. I didn't cry about it right away. Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, this man really left me and my daughter at home in a bad storm to go be with another woman. But anyway, I just remember him coming inside the house and just being like, it was kind of like he just don't give a fuck. And I didn't know what to do with that, y'all. It didn't really hit me until the very next day. I don't even know if I went to sleep that night. I really don't remember if I went to sleep or not. But I know it hit me the very next day for sure. I remember crying on my job. I remember he was getting ready for work. And I did the magical thing that us women do. I went in there and I'm like, what do you want to do? Do you want to be with me? Do you want to be with me? What you want to do? Y'all, this is a little side note. Why do we always ask them what they want to do? Okay? Now, healed me now realize that don't ever ask them what they want to do. Okay? Do what you want to do. But anyway, I just had to throw that out there because we do this so much. Like, what do you want to do? So this man tells me, I really don't know. And I was like, really? Like, I was so hurt. I'm like, are you serious? Like, you don't know? Because I guess I was expecting him to be like, yes, baby, I want to be with you. I'm sorry. Like, I was just expecting some remorse. I absolutely got no remorse. So anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on March 1st. However, let me just say, after that happened, I kind of created a story in my head. Okay? I created a story in my head. I started talking to him. I'm like, how did it happen? You know, we got to get the details now, right? How did you meet her? When did you meet her? And do you really like her? And he's like, no. He said, no, he don't. But you know, that's, who's going to be like, yeah, I do. I don't know. Maybe some men would tell the truth and be like, you know, yeah, I like her. But he said no. And, you know, he made me feel like, let's move on. So, like I said, I created a story in my head because I'm like, ain't no way this man cheated on me on purpose. Ain't no way he did it on purpose. This had to be an accident. I was like, maybe she came on to him because he just don't seem like the type of guy that would like cheat on me. Like, I just could not wrap it around my head, you guys, that this is happening. I was just like, no. Like, I guess for me, he used to hype me up all the time. Like, made me seem like I was the woman for him. Like, you ain't got to worry about nothing. There was something else he said. You ain't got to worry about nothing. So now I'm like, I got every reason to be worried. And all those feelings and thoughts and things that I questioned in the past, I was never wrong. That's how I was feeling. Like, I was never wrong. So anyway, let me get to it. So then I was like, let's go to therapy. Let's go to therapy because I know you didn't mean to do this. And, you know, like I said, I created a story because I felt like the other woman came on to him and he just was weak. He had a weak moment, right? That's what I thought. And I was like, let's go to therapy. Okay? Let's go to therapy. So I scheduled a therapy session. I was like, you know, a lot of men, especially black men, they don't like going to therapy. So I'm like, let me buy him a gift. So I got him like this whole little kit, like something for his beard. Just trying to do my part, y'all. And I said in my old videos that I don't know what fighting for my marriage is. But now that I say this out loud, I was fighting for it. I was investing in him when he should have been buying me a gift. Right? He should have been buying me a gift. I'm buying him a gift. I'm like, let's go to therapy. After our therapy session, I'm going to take you out to eat. He loved going to like, I don't want to call it a cheap steakhouse, but it wouldn't be my first pick. But he liked going to Longhorn. So I was like, I'm going to take you to Longhorn. And Longhorn is good, by the way. I'm just saying. He loves it. I was like, I'm going to take you to Longhorn. So y'all, Lord forbid, we go to therapy. We got our next session scheduled. And before we can even go to therapy session number 2, I get a phone call. I get a phone call and somebody was like, hey, did your husband go out last night? I'm like, yeah. Did he have this song? I was like, yeah. They was like, they saw him with another woman doing the same exact thing that I saw him doing when I caught him on March 1st. So I'm like, are you serious? And they're like, yeah. This person and this person, they both saw him. They described the girl to me. This is what she looked like. She was about his height. She had on a blazer. She had on some, what they say, she had on some wedge heels. I was like, a blazer and wedge heels? If y'all know me, you know I love fashion, and I'm not gonna say nothing wrong with that, but I'm like, I would never, okay? I wouldn't wear no blazer and no wedge heels. I'm like, a blazer and wedge heels? Like, they giving it to me, okay? They describing her to the T, and I'm like, was it this woman? I showed them who the first woman was. They was like, no, it's not her. So I had a whole meltdown. I end up calling the therapy session. I'm like, I mean, the therapist that we were with at the time, I was like, cancel. He got caught again doing the same thing. I just can't. Right? I just can't. And y'all, as time went on, I feel like the longer I sat in that house and just continued to deal with it, I'm not gonna lie, let me be honest. I was still having sex with the man because in my mind, I'm like, this is my husband. This is my husband. So if I want to come, I'm going to come. I mean, I know it's dumb because a lot of women would be like, no, if he doing this or doing that, I'm not doing it. But it was so hard for me because my ex-husband and I, we had never went a long period. We wasn't the type of couple that would go a long period of time not having sex. So I don't know. That for me was just kind of hard to cut it off. So yeah, we were still dealing with each other, which probably explains why in my previous videos that I shared with y'all already, that's probably why you constantly saw me crying. That's probably why I was going through the emotions. It's probably why I was up and down, because I was constantly being manipulated. I was constantly being told, he know it's him. He know he's the problem. He's gonna fix it. And the problem just wasn't being fixed, y'all. And it got to the point where I started having dreams. I shared, on my channel before, God had showed me a dream that, basically it was like dreams was showing me that it's about to be you and your daughter on your own. Dreams was showing me you need to leave. Dreams was showing me I need to choose myself. And it got so bad, y'all. Like, I'm not even going to go to the full details of certain things that happened. But yes, I am a victim of domestic violence. There were nights where him and I was drunk. And again, what was happening was every time him and I were drinking, we're both dealing with emotions and just bringing up stuff. I'm talking about what's happened currently, and he talking about things that happened in 2007, okay, when we first met each other, okay? You crying over what happened. You mean to tell me you married me in 2016, we living like a really good life, or at least I thought we was living a decent life. And you mean to tell me 7 years in our marriage, you cheating on me and treating me bad for some stuff that I did when I was 19 in 2007? I was like, this is crazy. But I realized that's just an excuse. And like I said in my previous video, I take ownership. I mean, I'm sure things I did probably hurt him, but it's just not an excuse, y'all. It's no excuse. You're not going to tell me you're going to abuse me later. Like, he's never done anything like that in our relationship ever, as far as abuse. Like, that just started coming up 2023, 2024. Okay? So, yeah. I'll just say I went through it all 2023. And let me just say this. I gotta shout out my good friend Tamithia Warren, because she listened to me day in, day out, was there for me, heard me cry. When I tell you I cried every week of 2023, when Cardi B said, I want to say it's the first song on her most recent album that she got, maybe it came out a year or two ago, Am I the Drama? Her very first song, she says, I cried 300 years. I said 300 years. I cried 300 days last year. None of y'all hit me up. When I say that resonated with me, I definitely cried 300 plus days in 2023. And it was because I could never move on and heal because stuff kept happening. Like I told y'all, I don't have the time and day to tell you every event, but just know every week it was something. Every week it was something. I'm going to move on from this part, and I'm just going to start to go into, you know, me realizing that the divorce got to happen. Me choosing myself. I'm done. Because he's not changing. His behavior is my answer, okay? Because like I said, a lot of times us women, we keep asking the men, and keep in mind, if you a guy going through the same thing, I get it. It's not just women, but, you know, most of the time it's women that deal with this, because I feel like some men have a hard time saying they don't want to be in a relationship anymore. And then instead of doing the right thing, he could have filed, okay? He could have filed for the divorce, but instead of him filing for a divorce, wanting out, he treated me so bad to the point where I had to do it. I had to come up with the money. I had to go seek attorneys. Yes. I would say at the end of 2023, I had my mind up. I ain't gonna say I had my mind up that I want a divorce. So all 2024, I was still crying. I mean, I'm sure if anybody knows me, you know, I cried my eyes out. I cried in the club. I cried at parties. I would just get drunk. And this is important to note, because this is why I said I'm no longer talking about March 1st anymore, because I would literally get drunk, like go to the club, I would drink. I would be that person at the bar telling their life story. I'm just like, my husband cheating on me. Like, anybody who would listen, my husband's cheating on me. Like, I was just traumatized. And because I really believed that he was a good man, y'all. I really believed that he would never do this to me. I thought that he wasn't capable of doing the things that was happening to me. I was just like, he's not capable. This is not who I married, you know? It's like he just disposed me, like he just didn't want me anymore. I felt like some old shoes, right? That you no longer want. But anyway, yes, I was a hot mess. I would go in the clubs. I would drink. I would be out of character. I would be looking for attention. And one thing about me, I have never had to get the attention of no man, okay? I believe I'm a beautiful woman. I don't know if anybody else think that, but I think I'm a beautiful woman, and I just never had to carry on like that. But this was affecting me so bad that I was out of character, to the point where something major happened in 2024. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I will, maybe I'll tell the story about what I did. Okay. But at this point, he had already drove me insane to the point where I'm done. Like I said, 2024, I'm done. So Cinco de Mayo, I'm going to just say that. Cinco de Mayo, I cut up. I showed my ass. And of course, you know, men, they can't never take what they give out, right? They can't never take it. So he ended up crashing out to the point where I had to call the police. And I'll just say this, after I called the police and filed a police report, we never had a domestic violence issue ever again after that. So I'm just going to say this. I don't know if it's anybody out there dealing with domestic violence. I'm not at all telling you, thank God I'm still here and I survived a lot of the things that happened to me. But I'm not here to tell you to stay or leave. No, I'm here to tell you to leave. And I'm also here to tell you, if you have to, call the police. And I know it's hard, because when I made that phone call, it was hard. Yeah, I made the phone call because my attorney was aware that I was dealing with domestic violence. And she said, I want you to call the police. She was like, and file a report. And she really wanted me, if we want to be real technical about it, she really wanted me to get a protective order and get him removed from the house. Now, I have to say this. I have to be real, because some other woman out there may be dealing with the same thing. But I didn't want to do that, because in my mind, I'm like, he got to pay the mortgage. And that's not even a funny moment. But that's really what I was thinking. Like, I need him to pay these bills. So no, I can't get him removed from the house, or we're going to lose the house. That's what I was thinking at that time. We're going to lose the house. So no, I'm not going to file a protective order. But ladies, looking back at the situation, do what you have to do. You Whether you're a single, you don't have kids or you have kids, you and your children are what's important. Stop trying to save that man or protect that man. But I will say this. I will say in the black community, a lot of times we do feel like we have to protect our men, You don't want nothing crazy to happen to them. So we go through that mentally and, oh my gosh, like I told y'all, it's so much. And at this time in 2024, I was in therapy. Like, I remember my therapist saying, why do you keep trying to protect him? She was like, he's not protecting you. And he definitely doesn't. And he still don't until this day. He does nice gestures here and there. But I see now he's nice to me when he needs something out of me. So, yeah. So let's go into, once I filed for the divorce, right? Once he was served, let's talk about that. He was actually served a day before my birthday, I believe. Yeah, I think he was served the day before my birthday. I did not plan it to go that way, but it just went that way. So he was served in 2025. As a matter of fact, like I said, all 2024, I was trying to come up with the money to get out of the marriage. And I end up paying the attorney November of 2024. And it was the holidays. So they didn't actually serve him or get the server until January. So he was served, and y'all, it's so crazy because that man said all year he didn't want to be married. He showed my ass all 2023, 2024, he didn't want to be married. But as soon as he got served them papers, why all of a sudden this is all my fault? You leaving me. And I'm sorry to have that tone, but that's how he was talking to me. Like, you left me. And it seemed like now this is becoming a Tasha problem. Like, I'm the cause of this. You don't want me no more. Why do men do that? You cause all this problem, all of this trauma, and now I'm the problem. Now I wanted this. I did this. No, you are the reason why we're getting a divorce. You are the reason. You showed me you didn't want me no more, so I took matters in my own hand, and I filed the papers. And a lot of times I do think the person who filed matters. Okay, so just a little side note, y'all. If you dating a man that's saying he getting a divorce, because I'm sure my ex-husband was out there telling people I'm getting divorced and all of that. If he out there telling her that, but please believe they probably sleeping together, because we were sleeping together. Please believe he manipulating that crazy wife that he's saying is crazy. He manipulating her, and he's making her have hope. Okay, because I went in and out of hope, and then he'll show me something else, and I'm like, nah, forget it. And I would just say this. I'm not recording this for nobody in Huntsville, Alabama, for nobody in Selma, Alabama. That's where we're from. I'm not recording it for y'all. This is, like I said, me being obedient to God, putting my story out there to help some other woman who may be experiencing the same thing. But I just want to say this, y'all. I hope if anybody seen me hysterical, sad, traumatized, acting a damn fool, I hope it all makes sense. Like, this wasn't me being mad about just March 1st, all 2023, 2024, 2025. This is multiple things that was happening. False hope. He kept telling me he loved me. I want my wife. I mean, even this year, y'all, the divorce was finalized in December. There's a story behind, how the divorce happened. I mean, how that happened. I'm just not for sure if I want to get into that. But just know he made my life a living hell all of 2025 in reference to child support and custody. That was what we went back and forth about all 2025. It's like once them papers was filed, now all of a sudden he want 50%. And that used to drive me insane because I'm like, man, you ain't even at home 50% of the time. So much so that when I tell y'all I went in attorney mode, I recorded when the man came every day. I recorded what time he left, what time he returned every day, because I was determined that no, we're not doing no 50-50. Now, I have to say this too, because I think to him, he's like, I've been present in my daughter's life. And yes, you lived at the same address, but you're not actively being there. And then I also see that you are battling with a little bit of substance abuse. and you constantly go out on weekends, like, I don't feel like your lifestyle aligns with having her 50% of the time. Now, I did let him know, if you ever, like, I feel like every other weekend will probably be feasible. And I said, if you ever want her more than that, if you can make time out of your so-called busy schedule and take a time away from the club, then yeah, you can get her. But no, you're not going to do that to our daughter because you don't want to pay child support, or you trying, you know, I feel like he was trying to avoid child support. And that's the reason why, you know, we went through this whole child support house. We fighting over the house and child support, y'all, all 2025. And then it got to the point where he got sick and he was admitted into the hospital. I'm not going to discuss what happened to him or his diagnosis. I'm not going to get into all of that. But he got sick, and then he decides that he'll agree. You know, he wants to just sign. He'll agree. He's going to sign. And his words to me is, I don't know if he was using God or putting God in it, because he knows that's the way to my heart. But he definitely told me that God told him to just do, I don't want to say do the right thing, but I guess he felt scared, you know. And, you know, I guess he just said, I'm going to just give her what she wants. And, you know, he got sick, like I said. And the divorce just ended up being finalized while he was in the hospital. And I have to say this, y'all, I prayed. And what I went through, this is the most I prayed. This is the most I feel like I was connected to God. This is the most I heard God. And when that happened to him, I said, God, I knew you was going to come through and work everything out, but I did not think that it was going to be on, I didn't think it was going to go like this, you know? And I think that, and I don't know this to be true, y'all. This is just my own, what I think in my mind. I believe that maybe he told his family that, oh, she divorced me while I was in the hospital. And did I go to court and complete the process? Yes, I absolutely did. But please keep in mind that when he got admitted, he was also asking me, I have to say this. When he got admitted, I gotta back up. Jesus, I gotta tell it right. He agreed to everything that I wanted before he was admitted, right? But he was sick during this time. So when he got admitted and he was in the hospital, he kept saying, where do I sign? Where do I sign? And that actually shocked me, because I'm like, why is he worried about signing the papers and he need to be getting well? That's what I was thinking. Heck, I'm going through the story now. I guess I might as well tell it. I'm like, why is he worried about that? And then, you know, my attorney was very aware. And I got to say this, he didn't get an attorney. Probably if he had an attorney, if he really cared so much about me going to the courtroom, going to court. Oh gosh, y'all, it's so much, because we had another court date that was in July of 2025, but he didn't, what happened? Did he not appear in court? Something happened and he wasn't showing up to court, and they moved the date from July to December. Okay. I hope y'all are following this, because I feel like God is reminding me of some of this stuff. But yeah, he wasn't showing up to all his little court dates that he had previously. So that's why the date ended up being changed to December. We were supposed to be done and finalized in July. I want to say the date was July 30th to be exact. But something happened. Something happened, y'all. And I can't put I think my attorney did something. He was in contempt for something, or he didn't show up. It was something he wasn't showing up to, okay? So they changed the date. No. Thank you, God. That's not it. We did go in July, but we had like a pre-hearing thing. That's what he didn't show up to. He didn't show up to like I think it's like a pre-hearing, y'all. I don't know the law term, so somebody help me. But it's like a meeting that you have. Is it negotiations or something that you have before the actual court date? So yeah, you're supposed to discuss everything. So my attorney was going on my behalf. I think that's why I'm lost about it, because I didn't have to show up. So my attorney went for me, and he just didn't show up. So then when we had our court date, I really think in my ex-husband's head, he probably like, this ain't important. I don't got to do this. I'm going to just show up to court and the judge going to give me what I want. I think that's what he really thought. But when we end up going to court in July, the judge was like, you know, we didn't discuss the other thing. I really want to know what that's called. If I figure it out, I'll put it in here because I can't remember what it's called. But he missed that, so they moved the date to December. That's why we had a December date. So anyway, y'all, just to close this out as far as the court situation, yes, the divorce was finalized in December. And I really hated it. I hated it. And I know that the average person, anybody that hear his side of the story, I'm sure people think I personally did this to him. And I didn't. It's just that's how the strings feel. Oh, and I want to say this because it's important too. To me, at least I think it's important. My attorney did let the judge know that he was in the hospital. But she also said we had an agreement. Because we had an agreement, the judge was like, that's the reason why I still went to court. Because the judge was like, well, because they have an agreement in place, let me go ahead and finalize this, okay? So it wasn't like I did something behind his back. It wasn't like I intentionally did something while he was sick. You know, he agreed. If there's already an agreement in place, what am I waiting for? For him to get out the hospital and start treating me crazy again? Because you know what, y'all? Sometimes, and I don't want to put this on God, okay? I don't want to put this on God, but I feel like sometimes people got to be hit a little low, like have a reality check. Let's say that sometimes people need a reality check. And I really felt like, my ex-husband was going around the city like he untouchable. Like nobody could touch him. Like he that nigga, he that man. You know, excuse me if you don't use the N-word, but he really act like he was untouchable. And I feel like maybe God was giving him a humbling experience just to chill him down a little bit. So, you know, I'm just saying, hypothetically, maybe once he got out the hospital and got better, he would have returned back to his old self, which honestly, y'all, that's what's been happening. Even after that man had been in the hospital for over a month, when he got out, I mean, he was probably humble for a week or two, but then once he got to the point where he can go out again, it was like the same stuff. So, yeah. And I'm gonna just stop right there because that's the divorce story. That's how I got divorced. There's more things that I went through even after that, y'all, because after that, now we got a marital house to get rid of. So that's another story for another day. I ain't gonna lie, I don't want to say I feel drained, but something in me feels a little depleted even after telling the story. But that's exactly what happened, y'all. And I just want to say this. I'm trying to find the words. Because I literally sat in the storm, y'all, for years. 2 to 3 years. And a lot of things that I had a problem with at the beginning of the relationship. Keep in mind, I told y'all I didn't like the club. I did not like that he liked to go to the club. And I felt like every little reason, like the little red flags that I saw about him before we got married, is the exact same reason why we got a divorce. Because you can't hang around. And that's another thing. I really didn't reflect on his friends, but over time, his group of friends are always changing because he think everybody is his friend, and they're not. And I don't have time for that either, y'all. But he think everybody is his friend. And I noticed that some of the people that he called his friends have substance abuse problems. So, you know, like I said, the company you keep, your friends matter. Okay, and that club atmosphere. Now, if y'all remember, if you're not new here and you've been on my channel before, I've even said it years ago. I want to say the video was titled What I Don't Have Time For in My 30s. I specifically talked about the club. And, you know, it's not terribly bad if you go here and there. You know, you go to celebrate somebody's birthday one day and then you don't go back for another 3 to 4 months. But if you in that thing every other weekend, like, what do you think a married man is doing in a club every weekend? Especially if you ain't in there making no money. And hell, I don't even trust the ones, excuse me, that's in there making money. So yeah, I just want to say the very things that I had an issue with at the beginning of our relationship is the thing that drove us not to be together anymore. And I hear somebody at the door. Just a second. All right, y'all. But yes, like I was saying, the very same thing that I had an issue with was my problem in the end. So I just want to encourage y'all to choose yourself. Don't ask a man what do he want to do. Do what you want to do. Do what's best for you. Do what is in alignment with your beliefs, with your morals, with your character. You know, I feel like I was holding on to who he was in the beginning. And when somebody shows you who they are, please believe them. Please believe them. But I'm gonna end it right there. And you know, I do videos every Wednesday, like whatever God puts in my spirit in regards to marriage, relationships, glow up or whatever. I do that on Wednesdays, and I'm trying to also incorporate videos of me working on myself, fitness, health, whatever comes to mind. So if you made it this far in the video, please consider subscribing. Join the family. We are healing together. We are growing and glowing together. And I hope that you have an amazing day. Bye.